day. It's Easter, early in the morning, and we're coming at you from my beautiful chicky glasses. What do you think? Dollar store. It's awesome. Hey, everybody. Happy Easter day. Here we are in the morning, just like Mary Magdalene before she went to the tomb. It's just dawn is breaking. And we thought we'd come at you with some beautiful Easter books today. So kind of, Easter book corner. Kind of like that. Because the Easter morning sunrise is about to be upon us. Indeed, Bear. What do you guys think? I bought these at the dollar store. They're kind of fantastic. And you think they'd be hard to wear, but no, they're fantastic. I can't believe, I wish I had places to wear. I wish I could wear this. Although, we may have found a new church, perhaps, online. But there's this fellow I really enjoy watching his, YouTube shorts. So he apparently is inviting everybody to his church this Sunday morning. So we're going to go online and see what we think. Because, we're between churches. And, of course, man of the hour. Hello, everybody. I have risen. I have risen indeed. Because I have. You can. Too. I came to give you life. And you may have it. And so it is. Thank you, dear Jesus. So definitely the man of the hour. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to our Easter Day extravaganza. So I am very excited to be a part of this whole experience. Well, we are very glad, too, our wonderful Jesus. So that's what we were thinking. We're like, what would we do? We were going to try and do something different today. We had kind of a Lego bunny rabbit. Now we don't know. So I'm trying to find it. Should I find the Lego bunny rabbit? We are going to try and put it together. Some people like maker videos. And of course, you guys remember him from last year. Hey, everybody, I am back. Did you miss me? I missed you so very much. That, of course, is Bunny Chicken Bunny. If you remember him from last year, Bunny Chicken Bunny. And, of course, he's been with us a few times. They still had them at the dollar store, the Dollarama. That's where we live. And I love Bunny Chicken Bunny. And, of course, back in the day, I would give these cute little rings to my students and things like that. Hard to believe it's almost been a year since that awful time, really. But we're still here and we're still plugging. So that's what's happening. And we're going to look at Easter Day with the bright new sun that it is. And the new life that is given to all of us as we are here and as we, give our life to Jesus and say, yes, Jesus, please come into my heart and be with me. Because that's the most exciting amazing adventure that anybody could ever have. And we're here too. Not only that, we have to celebrate Bear's adoption day. Yes, it's my adoption day. Everybody, what do you have? Cake? Just put it on the table. Cake, presents. I take them. I appreciate it. Cash. That we could use a bit. Well, we haven't been off for a while, Bear, so everybody think good things for me. So yes, Bear and I met, I believe, didn't we? We did. Yeah, we puzzled it out. Yeah, it was the idiot boyfriend. Yeah, I'm going to say that. And, I think it was 2000. Maybe. It was 2000. So, I think it was 2000. So, anyway, that's how Bear and I came to meet. We came to meet each other that way. And it's so very, very beautiful. And so we thought, what would we do today? We thought we're going to read books. That's what we thought. We thought we'd read some books today. We talked about the wonderful day that Bear came to live with me, which I think might have been 26 years ago, because I think it was the year 2000. So I think we checked all the way back. Siri told us, I think it was April 23rd, because Easter was very late that day. And we did. We did have a boyfriend, my only boyfriend. That's a story. And we actually had quite an amazing day that day, though. It was actually much warmer, of course, because it was almost May. Um, and we just had the most extraordinary day out, though. Of course, we didn't know what he was like back then. We thought he was good, but that's what happens sometimes. You don't know what people are like, so that's why you got to be seeing what they're like. We need to work on that, and we are. But we did. We went and we had, I think, was it lunch? I think it was like lunch or something at this beautiful restaurant. It was kind of in Abbotsford, connected to a, I think it was connected to a hotel, but it was just really nice. It was quite peaceful that day because I remember it was Easter Sunday, so there wasn't very many people there, but we really liked it. We liked the food, we liked everything. And then there was this place, Castle Fun Park, which I don't know if it's still there. I haven't been there in, oh my God, almost 15 years, maybe even longer. And it was a really fun kind of amusement parky kind of place. And really, really very much enjoyed it, though. They had really nice mini golf, which I always loved playing. And they had these like mini race cars that you could actually drive in. I didn't drive one, but my then boyfriend did. And that wonderful skee ball where you throw the balls, and gosh, pinball. And then they had an inside, like dark, woo, spooky, um, also mini golf, which we sometimes played, as well. Although I didn't like the dark one as much. It's kind of like a glow in the dark. And they had a batting cage. And of course, back when I was younger, I did like playing baseball. They just didn't like playing baseball with me. But I liked playing it. And so they had a batting cage, and man, back when my shoulders worked better, we played some batting cages too. So it was some pretty cool stuff. And Bear joined us. Yes, I actually was very happy. My previous life, I was a dancing, singing bear. Actually, people don't know this, but I'm going to tell you, I'm actually named Barry from Barry Manilow, because that was one of Cheryl's favorite singers. Yeah, man, back in the day, I believe he's still going. I don't know. Man, that guy just keeps going. And he is such an amazing singer, and I remember him when we were little. So, yeah, so I named him Barry, although it's funny because it's double. People usually think Barry because he's a bear, but it's actually Barry because his name is named after Bear Manilow, and in his old life, he used to be a dancing, singing bear. Yeah, I really was, we're both kind of lovely actor, singer people. Cheryl just didn't really get a lot of chance to do that, but, I did. And then I decided that, I wanted to live with her and she wanted to live with me. Yes, that was quite an amazing story, how we ended up meeting. Back in the day, Save On, the store, had a lot more things than they do now. Yeah, it was an extraordinary store that we used. It was called South Point. It's still there, but really just a shell of its former self. And they had so many Easter toys. Different colors, different everything. And I saw Bear. And I said to my then boyfriend, that is what I would like. And so we met Bear that day. And we did that too. We went there first. And then we had this whole big, amazing day, and it was such a beautiful day. I will never forget that day, and I don't forget that day because that was the day Bear and I met. And of course, we know everything. We know how much Bear means to me. Vamoose the boyfriend, but we kept Bear, and so that was the best gift I think almost anybody ever gave me and Bear. So we've been together now, 26 years, Bear, right? Yeah, I think it's been about 26 years, and wow, what a journey. We should write a book or a movie of the week. I know, I tell you. Why don't people make movies of the week of me, man? They'd make a fortune. Probably quite a story. So we thought maybe we would read some fun books as Easter morning dawns here for us. We might try and do another story, maybe me and Claude. He's very good at doing stories. So we thought we might do that too. But I've got some. Thought we'd do a few. This one actually we've never done, but I want to show everybody if I can get in the shot here. It's a fascinating book. This woman had an idea of doing stained glass windows. And so she's got a few different books in this series. And it's all about Jesus. It says Easter with words from the King James Bible, which is the first Bible. It was the first Bible, I believe. Well, the Gutenberg Bible was actually the first Bible, but which is an amazing story in and of itself about why he made a Bible. He was a printer way back in, I think maybe even medieval times. I'd have to look that up again. And so that's one of the things that people used to do. Don't quote me on it. But especially in England, they have these beautiful old-fashioned churches, of course, that are still in existence or were when the book was made. And they have all these beautiful stained glass windows. Now, people weren't literate back then, meaning they couldn't read. So what people would do is make these beautiful windows in the churches, almost like teaching people about Jesus and about everything. So then they're still there, I think. If you can get to England, I think they're still there. And so that's one of the reasons for the beautiful stained glass windows. I think we have some here, but again, they're not very easy to do. It's kind of not something people do now. But yeah, some of the older churches, I think here, even still have that. So I thought we'd look at this. And so we're going to look at this book right here. When they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem, people took branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him and cried, Hosanna! Blessed is the King of Israel that cometh in the name of the Lord. Now that used to confuse me a little bit. I will tell this one. Of course, dear Jesus, by all means. Well, back in the day, of course, Jewish people called God the Lord. But Christian people get confused and bewildered because I am the Lord. Well, I know I did. So I'm like, who are they talking to? But they're talking to my dad. So both my dad and me can also be the Lord. So if you hear that, that's what it means. That's what they're saying. Indeed, dear Jesus. So we wondered about that too. So the Lord can also mean God and Jesus. So if you hear that, that's what it means. I wondered about that too. Because we're watching a couple of Jesus movies, and they're pretty good. Yes, some of them are really good. Some of them, some of them are like, is this accurate? And you got to look at that. But some of them are good. And so we're pretty happy with that. So we're going to see. So let's look at this one. Okay, everybody, we have to organize ourselves. Well, you know me, I'm just going to listen. Dear Jesus, would you like to be in the shot? Well, I would love to be. Well, let's see if we can arrange it because it's a big book. So there it is. So, and we're going to read and see. Here it is. Yeah. With words from Gospels. You can't see me right now. That's where I am, though. With words from the Gospels of the King James Bible and luminous artwork inspired by England's glorious stained glass cathedral windows, this beautiful book celebrates the story of Easter. In 12 radiant panoramas, Kate Greenaway medalist Fiona Finch recreates the complete Easter story. Oh man, I think I need a drink. Hang on, everybody. There it is. Beginning with Jesus's triumphal, remember we talked about the word triumphal, entry into Jerusalem, through the Last Supper, the crucifixion, the resurrection, and Jesus's appearance to the disciples, also known as the apostles, and culminating with his ascension into heaven, or the afterlife, or paradise, or whatever you want to call it. This is the stunning sequel to Fiona French's stained glass recreation of the Nativity in Bethlehem. And it's from HarperCollins. Well, we don't have that one. We happened to get this one on a book sale, which we haven't been able to get to. So there you go. But hopefully we will again. Fiona French has written and illustrated many popular books for children, including Snow White in New York, for which she won England's prestigious Kate Greenaway Medal for Easter, as with her previous book, Bethlehem. Fiona French's images are inspired by the breathtaking English cathedral windows of Ely, Lincoln, York, and Canterbury. Miss French lives in Norfolk, England. So she's English. So this is almost around Bears time. It's 2002, which is, 24 years ago? It's a long time ago. So presumably they're all still there. I hope everybody gets to see them. I hope I get to see them. So, so we're all going to do that now. So have you guys ever seen cathedral windows like this? No, I don't think I ever have. We might have some in the States. They might have some in the States. They have big churches there. And they might have some in Vancouver, because that's kind of near where I live, a little bit. Okay, we'll see. Fiona French Easter, with words from the King James Bible. Here we go. When they heard that Jesus was coming to Jerusalem, people took branches of palm trees and went forth to meet him and cried, Hosanna! Blessed is the King of Israel that comes in the name of the Lord. So, of course, we're talking about God in this place. But look at that. Isn't that a beautiful stained glass? That's actually somewhere. You can actually go look at that. Kind of extraordinary. Now, when the evening had come, Jesus sat down with the 12 and Mary Magdalene. And something that's powerful? I've been watching a lot of shows and a lot of newer shows that you can obviously watch. Now, especially with AI, you can watch a lot of Easter shows. And a lot more of them are mentioning Mary Magdalene now more than they used to, which I think is really wonderful because she was there. Jesus chose her. So, and who is anybody else to say that they didn't? And so I'm very, very happy with the fact that Mary Magdalene is getting her due now. Way, way more than she did previously. So if you want to check those out, just type Easter, Mary Magdalene, and the YouTube, and you can see there's so many really good videos about her. So I'm going to say this again. Now, when the even had come, Jesus sat down with the 12. And as they did eat, Jesus took the bread and blessed it and broke it and gave it to them and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And we talked about that before. And he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they drank of it. Because people used to do that back in the day. They would share, gosh, even in the 70s we would do that. Okay, then now this is a new one. Look at that one. Oh, this is so beautiful. Stained glass, you guys. Then cometh Jesus with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and Judas, one of the 12, came, and with him a great multitude of swords and staves. Now that he had betrayed Jesus, now that the betrayed Jesus gave them a sign. Did I say that right? Let's try again. Okay. Now, he that betrayed Jesus. Right, so that's as we know, Judas. Now he that betrayed Jesus gave them a sign, saying, Whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Hold him fast. So that means don't let him leave. And he came to him and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him. Then laid hands on Jesus and took him. So that's bad. Of course, Jesus was also called Master, right? Because he was. Absolutely, he was. So let's keep going, everybody. And when they had bound him and led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor, and the governor asked him, saying, Art thou the king of the Jews? And Jesus said unto him, Thou sayest. So he's not trying to plead, obviously, because he knows what his father's job is. He knows what his father had asked of him. So he wants to do that. He wants to do his father's will, right? So that's what he says. But the chief priests, of course, Caiaphas and the other priests and the Pharisees and those kind of people in the Jewish temple, didn't like that Jesus was here. They didn't like that. They were jealous and worried that he may start things that they didn't want him to do. So that's a big issue. But the chief priests and elders persuaded the multitude that they should destroy Jesus. When Pilate saw that he could prevail nothing, he took water and washed his hands, saying, I am innocent of the blood of this just person. See ye to it. So again, like we said previously, it wasn't Pontius Pilate's doing. It was the priests of the temple. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the common hall, and they stripped him and put on him a scarlet robe, and then they plaited a crown of thorns, which they put on his head, and a reed in his right hand, and they bowed the knee before him and mocked him, saying, Hail the King of the Jews. And it was really bad what they did, like thorns, and they pushed them into his head, so he was in very much pain, obviously. And then, but he let them do it because he knew that his father, needed to have this for what would happen later, which is today, Easter Sunday. But it's a very sad business, right? So this is Good Friday. Remember, we talked about this previously. This is Good Friday morning, probably, right now. And as they came out, they found a man of Cyrene, Simon by name. Him they compelled to bear Jesus' cross. And then they came upon a place called Golgotha. That is to say, a place of the skull. And they brutalized Jesus so badly that he wasn't even well enough to do anything. He was too sick and injured. And well, not sick per se, probably sick at heart though, because who wouldn't be? But injured. They attacked him brutally, so he did not have the strength to carry the heavy cross, right? So they compelled somebody else to carry it for him because he was not able to do that. And they crucified him. And we talked about that before too. What the top writing actually says. I believe that's in Latin. Don't quote me on it. It might be in Hebrew. And it was basically here's Jesus, the King of the Jews, right? And so they crucified him. And they did talk about the two men that were on the other side of him. And again, like we said that previously, they mocked Jesus and they treated him very badly. And the people there, but of course, Mary Magdalene was there. She was standing by watching, even though she couldn't do anything. She wanted him to know that she was there and she was with him in his agony. And his mother was there as well. And the Apostle John. John was there. And of course, other people were there. And then there were people who were mocking him and injuring him and treating him badly. And that kind of thing. So it was very upsetting. And of course, the Roman soldiers didn't really have a choice. I mean, I'm not saying that some of them didn't enjoy doing it. That was literally what they used to do. But I don't think all of them there actually wanted to be. But it was kind of like you didn't have a choice, right? They had to do it. And so we'll see what happens. And again, one of the men who was crucified along with Jesus went with him in paradise. Surely today you shall be with me in paradise. And again, always gives me such comfort. And of course, the other one was mocking him. And we know where they go. Don't end up there. That's what I'm saying. When the evening had come, there was a rich man of Arimathea named Joseph, who was also himself Jesus' disciple. He went to Pilate and begged the body of Jesus. And when Joseph had taken the body, he wrapped it in a clean linen cloth and laid it in his own new tomb. And he rolled a great stone to the door of the sepulchre and departed. A huge stone, a stone that people couldn't really unroll again, like unroll, because it was kind of round, I believe, away from the door very easily, which was something that's very important. And so this is another stained glass window showing them taking Jesus off the cross, right? Which, of course, was very sad. And we see the women. You see the women? We see them. So I think that's the two Marys, there and there. So, yes, and that's kind of what's happening. Oh, and my goodness, the angels are beautiful, though. But angels are beautiful, right? And we all have angels. Did you know that? We all do. We all have guardian angels, and they're beautiful. And, you can ask them for help. Absolutely. Now, upon the first day of the week, which is the day, Easter Sunday morning, very early in the morning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came unto the sepulchre and found the stone rolled away. They entered in and found not the body of Lord Jesus. Wow, that would have been a surprise. Can you imagine? You're there. You don't know. Jesus did say he was going to rise. He did raise in 3 days. We did know that. We did know that. But yes, I did. Because, it is as it is written. I will rise again in 3 days. And yes, I am the only one to have ever said that. So, and here I am now for you and for all. And for me and Baby Cake Spa. Yes. Maybe even more. We'll see. So, now upon the first day of the week, very early in the morning, Mary Magdalene and the other Mary came onto the sepulchre and found the stone rolled away. They entered in and found not the body of the Lord Jesus. Wow, man. Again, what would you think? And behold, 2 men stood by them in shining garments and said unto them, Why seek ye the living among the dead? He is not here. He is risen. Look at those angels, you guys. Man, wouldn't that be so wonderful to be able to look at them, like upon them in like real life, just like be there? Yeah. Apparently they're still there at the churches in England. Then the same day at evening, the disciples were assembled. Now, they didn't actually mention this piece, but that's okay. Not all of them do. About how they went into the tomb and they didn't find him, and then they they found him here. But they didn't, they didn't talk about the cloth and all of that stuff then. But that's okay. He really was there. And he does say to Mary, of course, Mary, and she says, teacher, and then they do go. She goes with the other Marys and tells the good news to the disciples. So let's see. Then the same day at evening, when the disciples were assembled, came Jesus and saith unto them, Peace be unto you. But Thomas, who we call Doubting Thomas, one of the 12, he was not with them when Jesus came. The other disciples said unto him, We have seen the Lord. Of course, she said that too, right? Mary Magdalene said that. But he said, Except I shall see his hands, the print of the nails, and thrust my hand into his side, I will not believe. And of course, that's something, right? They had to know whether or not Jesus had actually died. So they stabbed him in the side to see, because apparently you can tell if somebody had died, and he did. So he did have a spear wound at the side of his body because they stabbed him there to see if he was dead, but he was. After 8 days his disciples were within, and Thomas was with them. Then Jesus came and stood in the midst. Then saith he to Thomas, Behold my hands, and reach thither thy hand and thrust it into my side, and be not faithless, but believing. And Thomas said, my Lord and my God. And what he means is you believe because you have seen. How much greater are they, how much better are they who have not seen and yet believe. And that's kind of what Jesus is saying to us today. That you need to believe even though you haven't seen. Yes, you do. Although you can see me right here, so that actually helps things, doesn't it? It does. I'm actually liking walking around and everything. Very, very awesome. Everybody. Yes, did you know Jesus danced too? He did. He can dance. He could do because they did sometimes. He did. Yeah, I actually enjoy it sometimes. With my disciples at weddings mostly. And yeah, it's all true. I did actually change the water into wine. My mom asked me. Yes, there's a whole other story about how Jesus did change. It was kind of a miracle, a lesser one, but he changed the water to wine because they were at a wedding. And, it was considered not very good to run out of wine. And they had. So Jesus helped his mom because they went to a wedding. I did, yes. Right on. So that was good. So, of course, Mary, his wonderful mother. So let's see what else is going to happen. Because we have a little bit more story. Did we see this one? Okay, I'm going to show you again. Okay, here we are. So that's Thomas, I believe, and that's the other disciples. And they used to show the disciples like that. I remember when I was little and we were at Catholic church, and they would show in the like children's Bibles that they had this halo because it means they're holy. That's how they used to like denote holy. They don't do that as much now, but they definitely did do that before. And so that is another one of the stained glass windows. Jesus showed himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias. He saith unto them, Children, have ye any meat? They answered him, No. And he said, Cast the net on the right side of the ship, and ye shall find. They cast therefore, and were not able to draw it for the multitude of fishes. So that's also a story in the Bible where a lot of them were fishermen. Right. I think James was too. I know for sure Peter was. And they were fishermen. And of course, fish was a very big deal. It's like the railroad. Maybe even 100 years ago. Maybe not quite that maybe 80. And I know my nanny, not my real nanny, my grandfather, again, not my real grandfather, were there, and a lot of them were actually in the railroad, working in the railroad. So this was the same thing. A lot of them were fishermen. Mary Magdalene's family were fishermen, and she was actually reasonably wealthy because her father was, so she was able to bankroll some of Jesus's journeys, again, which was kind of unique of a woman being able to do that, but she really was. So she helped and provided for them, for the disciples and for Jesus as they went around on their journeys. So, and what happened was Jesus went with them and they couldn't get any fish. And as soon as Jesus went with them, their nets were full of fish, because they cast on the right side. So they had the right side and the right side. So they actually were able to catch fish. And something I do want to mention, they kind of confused that, meaning that anything that might have been on the left was bad. Of course, the right hand of the Father. And those of us who are left-handed have endured that many and many a day. He didn't mean people who were left-handed. I'm sure he didn't. But that happened to us anyway. The sad part about that is, by definition, more gifted people are left-handed. More genius, brilliant people are left-handed. So how could that be? God did that too. So I don't think he meant that left-handed people were bad. Right? So that's a story. But that's where some of it comes from, is, the right side and everything. So they got fishes. As soon as they were to come to land, they saw a fire of coals there, and fish laid thereon, and bread. like the flatbread. Remember we talked about that. I think barley maybe even. Jesus saith unto them, Come and dine. And none of the disciples durst ask him, Who art thou? Knowing it was the Lord. So he makes them food. So they have bread and they have fish, right? And so that's very good. And they see him again, which is so very wonderful. Okay. Oh, this is an amazing one too. Man, I wish I could see these. And he led them out as far as Bethany. Remember, we know Bethany. Bethany was where Lazarus lived, Mary and Martha lived. That was where the miracle, where he raised Lazarus from the dead. And also he would stay with them because they were friends. They were people he knew. And it's not far, Bethany is not far from Jerusalem. As he led them out as far as to Bethany, and he lifted up his hands and blessed them. And it came to pass, while he blessed them, he was parted from them and carried up into heaven. And they worshipped him and returned to Jerusalem with great joy. So they say that Jesus was taken up bodily to be with the Father. That he actually, his whole body, which was resurrected already, of course, because of Easter Sunday today, actually raised and is there now, right? So, like we can be. This might be the most extraordinary. Look at this picture. Look at this stained glass picture. Wow. So he's talking about how he will be with them even to the end of the age. Because I am with you always, even to the end of the age. And we believe that. And so that is the story. Did you like it, baby? What do you think? Yeah, wow. I don't think we've actually read that one, yet. But that's pretty good, too. I mean, I'd like to see some stained glass thing. I like to do that, yeah. Maybe me and you could do a trip. I hope we can do a trip sometime. Because, about time that I get to see things and I get to do things, too. So that's kind of what we are talking about today. Dear Jesus, would you like to add? Well, I just want to say, everybody, that I hope you have a beautiful Easter Sunday and you gather with your family and you know how beautiful life is and how you are together, and know that it is a joyous time to be together. And yes, because he is risen. He is risen indeed. And so we want to say that to everybody as well and ask you here about mine. I like these. I think we're going to wear these again, maybe. Anybody? What do you think? Little chickies? I don't know. I think they're pretty good. So we say happy Easter, everybody. Happy Easter, everybody.